sharing a reading experience. I'm reading from a book entitled Gone, and I'm sharing it with you now. Today, I will go through the introduction and January 1st to January 5th. I hope you listen and receive something worthwhile from this. This video might inspire you to read this book. It's my hope that you'll search for the best books and gain information and ideas to help you to become a better person. The more you read, the better you'll think. And the better you think, the more you'll be able to face life's challenges successfully. Introduction. 13 years earlier, while doing historical investigations, I asked Dorothy Bell to tell me about her life, and the first thing she remembered, she began, well, as she tried to speak, she began to weep and then to sob softly. I sat awkwardly. Finally, I turned off my recorder and said, "We can try this at a later date." I never got a second chance to record her stories before she died. I don't know when she stopped mourning at that memory that made her weep, but what she was not able to say, she wrote down in a journal which was found while cleaning up after her death. Despite her many losses through life, on almost every page of her journal, she wrote and read about a small daily blessing. These blessings included beautiful spring day, family celebration, apples to eat, and Jesus watching over us. Dorothy was a remarkable daughter and sister who transformed into a devoted wife and mother. Dorothy's father-in-law, Charles Gabriel, once told his brother proudly, "Dorothy could make a home anywhere." This was a talent that she learned growing up through the challenges and adversities of her life. Ultimately, Dorothy's life was one lived in faith in God and his ability to provide strength, solace, and insights in a time of uncertainty. This faith was both inherited through a strong family tradition of Christianity and growing individual faith through various social and civil upheavals, including the Great Depression, World War II, and settling in the rugged West. Although this is an account that provides great historical stories and insights from a woman who had lived through the roaring 20s until just recently, it should ultimately be seen as a story of growing faith and finding God. Dorothy came to this world barely weighing 4 pounds. At 6 weeks old, Dorothy had whooping cough, brought into the house by a neighbor who wanted to see the tiny baby. The neighbor brought her daughter who had a cough. Dorothy's mother, Flossie, asked the neighbor what was wrong with her daughter. She dismissed it as her having a cold. Soon it was found out that the girl visiting her mother had whooping cough. Dorothy's father, Jake, was told, "They've killed your baby," thinking that a 6-week-old underweight baby could not survive whooping cough. But Dorothy survived to see the world change. Dorothy inherited a vast amount of wisdom from generations who had faced hardships brought about by war, starvation during the Great Depression, and the changing of society from the time of World War II to the civil rights reform. This book refers to multiple historical events and past recollections that might have been lost in time. To provide the reader with a greater knowledge, footnotes and endnotes are included throughout the book. Additionally, images, comments, and news articles related to the subject to which Dorothy is referring are found in the endnotes section in the last portion of the book. The notes are labeled by date. Other clarifications to note: Dorothy always referred to her father as Papa. She referred to her husband, Clyde, as Dad. The journal presented a single year of Dorothy's thoughts toward the end of her life. It is supplemented with other writings, including letters, loose notes, and personal photographs. What is next will be Dorothy in her own words. January 1st. Often people don't know how to behave properly. When my sister Grace was born on this day in 1933, children at school would make fun of us and say, "Didn't you know President Roosevelt asked that we aren't to have any more babies?" I guess our leaders can make us a worse or a better people. I too have made many mistakes along the road of life. It wasn't because I came from the wrong side of the tracks. I was taught right from wrong, but I didn't always have good sense that I needed. My father, Papa, taught, "Let your light so shine out before men that they may glorify your Father in heaven." Dad, my husband, also had his parents as a great example. His father, Charles Gabriel, reminded him to do the right thing because it was the Christian thing to do. But all too often, we have to learn the hard way because we are ignorant when we think we are wise. And so it was with me. And now my life is gone, all gone. January 2nd. Psalms 143:4 says it best. My spirit is overwhelmed. My heart is desolate. I woke up from a nap with tears in my eyes, thinking about everything. Evidently, there's no mail today, now that Dad is not here anymore. I don't know what's going on. Dad used to read the paper cover to cover and then talk to me about the events that were happening. Now, I don't even know if the trash bin has been emptied. January 3rd. In 1939, I contracted pneumonia. Papa and Mama sat by me while I went in and out of delirium. I knew they were there. This came to me. Only God can heal you. And at that moment, I knew I would get well. When I started to recover, Mama let me use the sewing machine that Papa had bought her in 1935 when he worked at Heblin's Grocery. It was such an honor because she didn't let anyone touch it. She taught me how to rip a seam and taught me never to jerk or pull a thread out. She taught me to do it gently, one stitch at a time. Grandma Sarah Jane preferred sewing by hand and never used a sewing machine. When my papa was 5 years old, Grandma Sarah Jane sewed his first pair of long pants. Papa said, "I didn't sit down all day." I remember Mama sewing denim aprons like the ones Mrs. Vanderpass wore. The Vanderpasses were a friendly Dutch couple that loved us children. January 4th. Luke 1:79 said, "The Lord will guide our feet into the ways of peace." I'm working in my bedroom, lots of memories. I'm thankful we had time together. My husband and I realized that our meeting, marriage, and children were all meant to be, and I hope to find peace in that. There must have been a meaning in all this. I hope someday to know the meaning of all things. Even if I don't, I'm no worse off. If there's meaning in things, and I've decided not to seek that meaning. What a loss it would be. But I know there is only gain in seeking what is worthwhile. Jesus told us to seek, and when we do, as Jesus said in Luke 11:10, he that seeketh findeth. How we seek the truth is important. If someone is hungry, they seek the food of life in earnest without ceasing. If they feel they are full, they seek it casually. When we seek God out of a hungry need for Him, we are more likely to recognize Him and the meaning He adds to our lives. January 5th. During my life, I was surrounded by guiding stars. Grandma Anna Day's compassion, Grandma Sarah Jane's gentleness, Mama's bravery and cheerfulness, Papa's gentleness, fairness, and steadiness, Aunt Lula's attentiveness towards others. She said so many things to make people feel good. Uncle Hallie's unfailing help, and all my family and friends that have been empathetic. Mama's moods went up and down. Papa's mood was always stayed the same, the Rock of Gibraltar. When Mama was happy, proud, or sad, we all knew it without question. With Papa, it was hard to tell. I was close to my Papa, so I could sense his feelings on a subtle level. All my years growing up, I never saw Papa angry. Disappointed or hurt, maybe, but never lifting his voice in anger. Mama was slow to anger, but when she did get angry, she blew. Mama seemed happy. She played ball with us, jumped rope, took us berry picking, and generally seemed happy. Then one day, out of the blue, she threw a broom across the room and screamed, "I guess you think I'm made out of iron." Her advice when she calmed down was, when that happens again, go the other way. Dad's father, Charles Gabriel, was always grouchy in the morning before breakfast, but otherwise perfectly pleasant. Helen Keller was with her family escaping the summer heat in their mountain cabin. One morning, the frost in the area signaled the approaching winter. Helen, being inspired by the events, wrote The Frost King. Her family and teacher loved the story and it was published. Someone afterwards accused her of plagiarizing a story called Frost Fairies. Indeed, it was the same storyline and even contained a sentence that was word for word the same as Frost Fairies. However, neither Helen nor her teacher remembered ever coming across the work. There are only so many words to describe what we're thinking about. Additionally, we all seem unaware that every word or phrase we use is because of someone else. Sometimes the source is remembered, but most of the time it isn't. I likewise am influenced by what I hear, see, and read. I take it in, mix it around a bit, and spew some of it back out. Sometimes I add chocolate sauce with a cherry on top. This book is the same. I read, but I might come up with more of a conclusion than you might. It's my suggestion that if you find this material interesting, you'll read it for yourself to see if you focus in on the same things. My bet is that you'll see something slightly, if not altogether, different. I wish you the best in your happy readings. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, matane.